Welcome all colleagues, dear colleagues, partners, international community of Erasmus+, Erasmusaholics, all who are ready for challenges and changing their lives with Erasmus+. Hope you stay safe and healthy in this really challenging time of COVID, and thank you for your time in this busy online period that you join us today to learn from the first hands about the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Degrees and Erasmus Mundus Design Measures Actions under Erasmus+ New Calls for Proposals 2021. This event is the joint initiative of the news from Eastern Partnership countries, and I'm happy that today our colleagues from the and coordinators from the National Erasmus+ offices is here, and you will meet them in details in the second part of our event. But today, just let me introduce them shortly. Lana Karlova from Armenia, Parviz Bagirov from Azerbaijan, Oksana Minic from Belarus, Lika Glonti from Georgia, Claudia Melinti from Moldova. You will communicate with them in details later a bit, but also we are happy and honored today to have our colleagues and partners from and coordinators of the program from Education and Culture Agency, Executive Agency from Brussels. And we're happy to welcome today two officers, Damar Hopsky, Project Advisor, and Monica Samberto, Project Officer, who will run into details about the specifics of the action and how to be very successful within the Erasmus Mundus Action calls this year. We're also thankful to the colleagues from Georgia and Ukraine who agreed to share the experience, and particularly Larissa Chevnyuk from National University Kyiv Mohyla Academy and Anna Osipchuk from National University Kyiv Mohyla Academy and Salom Belanashvili from Ilya State University, Georgia. And you will learn also that it is possible to be a successful partner within Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Degrees, Actions and Partnership. So, moreover, a majority of the universities in our countries built their capacities already to become more proactive in this action, and the needs to create the joint master programs of excellence have been growing to meet the challenges and changing labor market requirements. So with our great pleasure and honor, let us introduce and pass the floor to Damar Hopsky and Monica Samberto to run into details of the program action. You're welcome, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Svetlana, and thank you for the organization of this event and for the invitation to present the Erasmus Mundus Action. I'm here with my colleague, Dagmar Hopke, and Dagmar has been highly involved in the promotion of the Erasmus Mundus Action. So she will be here providing support, and especially during the questions and answers session. So I will now start sharing my screen, and let's hope that. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, everything is okay.
Everything is okay.
Could you please switch on the presentation?
Yes, that's what I am trying to do. Just give me 1 second. And
yeah, great. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, so perfect. So, as I said, I will be here presenting the Erasmus Mundus Action, and as you probably know, this action is part of the Erasmus Mundus, the Erasmus Plus program, which is the program of the European Union that supports cooperative actions in education, training, youth, and sport. So it funds projects and also scholarships within the EU, but also outside. And you will see that with this new program, the international cooperation dimension has been enlarged. So the Erasmus Plus program builds upon 30 years of experience and success of the Erasmus program, and which has mobilized along the years more than 4 million European students and many outside Europe also. You probably noticed that the program was launched with some delay, and this was due to the political negotiations of the EU budget and the program legal basis. But the program is now here and it's valid for the period 2021-2027. And you will see that there is a significant increase in the budget. So overall, we pass from 14.7 billion euros from the previous period, and now almost doubled. We count now with 26 billion euros for the entire duration. As you have all also seen, some of the actions will not have a call this year, including capacity building for higher education, which many of you are quite familiar with, or also the international credit mobility. But next year they are back. So in this slide, you will see which are our aims, what we want to achieve with the Erasmus Mundus. We want to be more strategic, be more open with more internationalization opportunities, bring simplification and flexibility in the implementation. Also put focus on this notion of sustainability, and therefore explore the potential of the Erasmus Mundus projects to become sustainable. And you will also see that this is with a more generous budget. A brief slide just to show you that the program, the action has shifted from the key action 1, which was the learning mobility for individuals, and now has passed to key action 2. And this is an important change on how the action will be perceived. It's not anymore just an action focused on mobility and scholarships, but these will be means to achieve results also at institution and system level. So another, just briefly for you to visualize that under key action 2, the Erasmus Mundus action falls under the cooperation model of partnership for excellence, together with the European universities and the centers of excellence. And this can open opportunities to create synergies also with these other 2 actions. So now to focus on our action, Erasmus Mundus. So during this programming period, the Erasmus Mundus action, let me just take this. The Erasmus Mundus action, I am sorry, I think that you see something on the screen. So the Erasmus Mundus action is comprised of 2 different lots, the joint masters and also the design measures. So the joint masters is lot 1. It's to a certain extent a continuation and an improvement of the pre-existing joint master degrees. And the Erasmus Mundus design measures, it's a completely new scheme, and it aims to support the design of new integrated master programs. And here I would like to clarify already something that is very important. So there are 2 independent lots, and this means that there is no obligation to implement a design measures action or project before applying to the Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters. So completing a design measure project is not an award criteria to apply for a joint master's, nor it is an obligation. You can finalize a design measures project and not apply to a joint master's. So it also means that by implementing an Erasmus Mundus design measures, it does not imply automatic funding under the EMJM scheme. So this slide is just a reminder, and especially for newcomers to the program, that we distinguish between program countries, which are the countries, the EU member states, and non-EU countries that participate in the program, which is Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, Republic of North Macedonia, Serbia, and Turkey. And then partner countries, which are all of the countries throughout the world without any exception. And as I mentioned, this new funding, this period of the program also brings more openness, and it's more open in terms of participation of partner countries, organizations, and institutions. And I would like to start by presenting you the design measures. Why? The design measures, not only because it is our novelty, but also because it can be a very good starting point for getting involved as an institution. So we really invite you to explore, to get acquainted with both actions, but with the design measure action also, and see if your institutions want to take advantage of this opportunity to design an integrated study program, and eventually start the basis of launching an Erasmus Mundus joint master. So, what do we aim? Why the reason of existing of the design measures? It is indeed to fill this gap of the Erasmus Mundus action for institutions that are not yet fully ready to implement this Erasmus Mundus joint masters, and so this supports the institutions to develop new master programs and encourage academic cooperations between institutions, and also the involvement of countries or institutions or thematic areas that previously were underrepresented in the Erasmus Mundus program. So, to a certain extent, this action, it is a bridge, also can be seen as a bridge towards the development of a new Erasmus Mundus joint master. And our intention is to support the institutions to reach also this objective. What is an Erasmus Mundus design measure project? So it is a short duration grant to support the design of a new integrated study program at master level in Europe, but also beyond, because it gives also the possibility to partner countries from all around the world to be involved. It is an attractive opportunity for institutions that were not yet involved in joint master degrees in the past, and that they are wondering where to start. So the design measures is initiated by one beneficiary that mobilizes a group of other higher education institutions. It sets up contacts and collaborations, activities within a group of higher education institutions to create a consortium and develop a joint master program. However, as I said, there is no obligation to apply to an EMJM after completing an EMDM project. And they are joint masters and design measures are two completely independent funding schemes with two independent call for proposals. So I've been talking about joint master programs, and here a parenthesis to explain you what is a joint master program, and it's very well explained, and also in the program guide. For details, I really invite you to check the program guide. But it's a joint master program. It's based on an integrated and complementary curriculum that is jointly designed by a group of higher education institutions, and that is delivered following common implementation procedures, such as a common student selection procedure, student services, common financial and administrative mechanisms. And this joint master program, the aim is to be able to attract excellent students worldwide. And in its design, it integrates compulsory physical mobility which is a very important component of the joint master program. And at the end, it should deliver a joint degree or multiple degrees that are recognized by all partners. So, which are the expected outcomes of an Erasmus Mundus design measures? And by understanding these expected outcomes, you might visualize already how a design measure project might look like. So it is expected that the activities that you will be implementing will result in the design of a joint program that offers integrated teaching and training to students. So the idea is to explore the notion of jointness and what it means to create an integrated curriculum in a collaborative and complementary way. So it also is expected to set up joint student admission and application processes, selection and student evaluations procedures. Also to develop common administrative and financial management procedures, as I already mentioned, and also should be able to present at the end a draft of a joint partnership agreement and a student agreement. So and also have a joint degree policy and launch an accreditation process. So the joint master and the development is also expected to adhere to the standards for quality assurance of joint programs in the European higher education area. So in the course of the design measures, the project should launch a joint degree policy and an accreditation process, and if possible, explore the opportunities offered by the European approach for quality assurance of joint programs. This is not always easy, but it's something that the consortia that was built can try to explore. So as I mentioned, the design measure project is introduced by one beneficiary. So it's a mono beneficiary who is the lead applicant, and this beneficiary will initiate contacts and collaboration activities with other institutions with the purpose of setting up an integrated master program. So it has a fixed duration of 15 months. And this is not a coincidence, because this specific time slot allows, once the design measure activity is finished, allows, if institutions may wish so, to apply to a joint master if they are ready, but without any obligation. And it is the funding is in the form of a single lump sum contribution of 55,000 euros. And this for costs that are, of course, linked to setting up a new joint master program. So how can you take part as an organization? As I mentioned, any higher education institution established in a program or in a partner country can submit an application. So this shows also how this new program is indeed more open to international cooperation. And this means that if partner country higher education institutions wish so and feel ready to become lead in this kind of projects and explore the possibilities offered by this action, because it gives really institutions an opportunity to explore the specificities of what is setting up a joint master program. And but of course, we also don't want to pass the message that you should become an applicant at all costs, because obviously this requires responsibilities and coordination, and you can also be involved in the activities of the design measures as a future partner. any EMJM consortium, for instance. So the call, well, we are hoping that the call publication is at any moment. So hopefully by the end of today, maybe beginning of next week. The call deadline is the 26th of May. There is a budget of approximately 2 million euros, and we aim to select approximately 36 projects. And this just to give you a bit of the time frame of the roadmap for the selection. So we plan to have a notification to applicants in autumn, around October, and then to sign the grant agreements in December, until the end of the year. So very briefly, which is the procedure for evaluating? So all proposals will be assessed by two external experts in a one-step evaluation. And for proposals to be considered for funding, they must score at least 60 points in total. I will not go, you have here in the slide, in case of exequos, which is the procedure that we take, but I will not go into detail on this. And here you have a summary of the different award criteria and the points, but I will not go into detail because you can refer to the program guide for more details and explanation. What I really advise you, if you are planning or thinking about applying, is that what you need to keep in mind is that you need to address all of these award criteria when preparing your application form. So you need to explain how you address them, each of the subpoints, and it's on the basis of how well you address the award criteria and the reasoning that you provide that experts will evaluate your proposal. And so we arrive now to the second part, so to the Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters. And there is, to a certain extent, a perspective of continuity when compared to the Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters. So now, as you can see, the name changed, Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters, and previously Erasmus Mundus Joint Master degrees. So there is no major change in the basic concept, but there is this perspective of simplification, and you can see here the new strategic priorities for this period. So there is an increased focus on institutional cooperation and in providing more opportunities for internationalization and collaborations between institutions. And these are the cornerstones of the action, along with this notion of excellence. There is also a focus on inclusiveness. There is a special measure to special needs, and there is the will to render this activity more simple, more flexible in its implementation for the higher education institutions, and also more sustainable. So hopefully this will increase the impact of the Erasmus Mundus Action. So briefly, we have already seen the main features of a joint master. So there are study programs of excellence at master level, highly integrated and transnational. So they are open to all disciplines. So universities can submit applications in any academic discipline they wish, and there are no thematic priorities. So they are developed and delivered by an international consortium of higher education institutions from different countries, and you will see which is the composition of the consortia, the minimum composition. I will talk about it further later on, and And these programs must offer a high-level scholarships to excellent students worldwide. So I just mentioned that through academic cooperation, the Joint Masters aims at supporting innovation, quality, and internationalization of the higher education institutions involved. So again, together with this notion of excellence, these are cornerstones of the action. And the Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters should contribute to the integration and to the attractiveness of the European higher education area. I don't want to go too much into detail on this slide, but I just want to highlight and to explain this concept of enrolled students, which is very important because it also this concept will also influence the funding of the action. So we put now more emphasis on these enrolled students, so which are both scholarship and non-scholarship holders. So this is a notion that always needs to be kept in mind for the Joint Masters. So which are the main requirements of a Joint Master action? The EMJMs must have at application stage a fully integrated curriculum and common implementation procedures, and it should adhere to the standards for quality assurance of joint programs in the European higher education area. And by this, it's a joint selection, a joint promotion, a common student services, and joint administrative and financial management. If you wish, you can consult also the website of the European Quality Assurance Register for Higher Education, ECAR, to see, to have more details about these standards. So it should be the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master must be delivered by a consortium of minimum 3 universities from 3 different countries, of which at least 2 must be program countries. And through an international outreach, it must be able to attract and enroll students from all around the world. So here it is important to have a good promotion strategy jointly developed. And among these students, a number may benefit from EMJM scholarships. So it requires compulsory physical mobility, meaning that all enrolled students, and here again, this notion of enrolled students, so scholarship and non-scholarship, must spend at least 2 study periods in 2 different countries, of which 1 must be a program country. So these 2 countries must be other than the country of residence of the student. And it needs to have a minimum duration of 1 semester each mobility. So they shall also engage scholars and guest lecturers. And I can tell you that from our experience, scholars and guest lecturers, they bring a real contribution to the teaching, to the training activities of these projects. So, and finally, the successful completion of a joint master program must lead to the award of either a joint degree or multiple degrees. So it is very important that at application stage, the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master be fully developed and ready to run and be advertised worldwide. So, so this is really a requirement. So how is the Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters set up? So the consortium will receive a grant agreement for a duration of 6 academic years to finance at least 4 editions of the master, and each lasting 1 or 2 academic years, so 60, 90, or 120 ECTS, so 1 to 2 academic years. And the first edition shall start no later than the academic year following the year of the selection. So there must be a commitment of the consortia to enroll a certain number of students, and there must be at least 2 study periods in 2 countries, and one must be a program country, and both different from the country of residence of the student. There is also this concern about the geographical balance of students. So when selecting students, the selections should adhere to this notion of geographical balance. So no more of 10% of total scholarships per project must be awarded to students of the same nationality. Of course, this will not apply to the scholarships for the targeted regions. This is just to give you a visual scenario of on how Erasmus Mundus Joint Master could look like time-wise. So, in the last column, you will see that so this 2-year master course of 120 ECTS is the most common one, and especially with preparatory activities. So a proposal that was selected in 2021 and signs a granted agreement in 2021 can start with 1 year of preparatory activities. And then, so this means that they will run their first academic edition of the joint master 1 year after the proposal was selected. So this means 2022. And their 4th and last edition will start in 2025 and will finish in 2027, which is the end of the contract. So, and you see that there are different possibilities. What is very important is that the last edition of the joint master must finish during so before the end of the contract, so during the eligibility period of the contract. So how can organizations take part in this scheme, the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master? So any public or private organization from a program or partner country can take part in this scheme. Applications can be submitted by higher education institutions also from partner countries, so from program and partner countries. And again, here the possibilities for partner countries are also more open. So this is a big novelty in the program. Program country higher education institutions must have a valid Erasmus Charter for higher education. Partner countries, this is not mandatory for partner countries, of course, but they need to commit to the ECHE principles. And they can demonstrate this commitment in the partnership agreement. So it is also important to mention that all full partner higher education institutions from program or partner countries must be master level degree awarding institutions with the capacity to issue either a joint or multiple degree. And the academic study program has to be accredited at application stage. And higher education institutions from both program and partner countries must have completed the accreditation and evaluation of the master programs at the time of applying. So, which is the minimum composition to apply to Erasmus Mundus Joint Master? So 3 higher education institutions from 3 different countries, of which at least 2 must be program countries. And so yes, you can involve other academic and non-academic partners in the activities of the Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters. And Out of experience, I can tell you that normally consortia do involve other partners, not only higher education institutions, but also from the non-academic world, meaning research institutes, industry, non-governmental organizations that can also contribute, for instance, by offering internship possibilities, if there is this internship component, master thesis research opportunities, or support in promoting the program within their countries. So, but having said this, sometimes applicants think that by including as many partners as possible, they have more chances to be successful. But this is not necessarily synonymous of success. The important thing is that there is quality in the consortium and complementarity and cohesion. So not a high number of partners. And here, just a glance of the participation of organizations from the Eastern Partnership in Erasmus Mundus Joint Master, so the previous program. We can see that Ukraine and Georgia, for instance, were a bit more involved in EMJMDs that were selected in the previous period, and they have participated as full partners in one or two instances in Ukraine, for instance, and Georgia, and as associated partners. There are other countries like Armenia, also Belarus, or Azerbaijan also participated as associated partners. So it might have been in promotion activities, or it might have been in I don't know, hosting a student. So so for you to see that this cooperation already started. So now it's the opportunity with these two lots to build further these cooperations. So what does it mean to take part as an individual in this program? So scholarships are open to students from all around the world, so no country is excluded. But in order to apply, the students must have a first higher education degrees or equivalent. And there is this requirement of not having benefited previously from an Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Scholarship. And here I make a distinction between a scholarship that could have been attributed under the previous program, joint master degrees, and EMJM. So in theory, if a student has benefited from an EMJMD, it can still benefit from an EMJM because the program is different. So the best students can benefit from scholarships depending on the number of scholarships available. And as I mentioned, this is a program of excellence, and only the best students are selected. So, and they have to apply directly to the EMJM consortium. We will still have in our website a catalog with an overview of the EMJMs offering scholarships. And if you are curious, you can, I invite you to also have a look in our current catalog. There are, I think, more than 100 running EMJMDs, and you can consult their websites and see how they are structured. So here you can visualize the participation of individuals or of students from the Eastern Partnership. So in total number, Ukrainian and Georgian students have a higher participation, but you can see that there are participation of students from all the countries from the Eastern Partnership. And now we arrive to the funding rules. So there is a simplified EU grant, and there are two main targets that consume the funds. One is the higher education institutions and the other the students. And the EU grant has three main components that you will see more in detail further on, which are the institutional costs, the scholarships. So I hope you see the mouse, the institutional costs, the scholarships, and there are special funds available for individual needs. And this is very well explained in the program guide, so I really invite you to explore it there. This is how the previous and the new scheme compare to each other. But for this presentation, I would like you to focus on the right-hand side, so the blue part. So focus on the blue, which is the budget composition for the new the new Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Action. So, and I think you can immediately see what we have been talking about, which is simplification. I will go further into detail on these costs, so but not too much. So the institutional costs. The institutional costs are the costs for implementation of the study program, and you will see that higher education institutions will receive for each enrolled student, so scholarship and non-scholarship holders, €750 per month. So the new program actually offers more incentives to attract non-scholarship holders, and this actually proves to be more advantageous to institutions. And if you do the calculations of because there is the cap of 100 enrolled students, the consortium can commit to enroll more, 120, but the funding will only be calculated on the basis of 100 enrolled students. And if you care to do the calculations for this, you will see that this can lead to a maximum amount of 1.8 million euros. So at student level, this is really a new simplified grant composition for scholarship holders, and they will receive all the same monthly allowance, a monthly scholarship that includes everything. And for scholarship holders, there must be a fee waiver. And here you can see how to calculate 1,400 times the number of months, and this can lead to a maximum. This leads to a maximum amount per student of so knowing that supposing that it is 120 ECTS, so 24 months, this leads to a total of 33,600 euros. And at project level, you calculate it on the basis of the 1,400 times the number of months times the number of students, and there is also a cap. But really, if you wish to go further on how the calculations are done, I really advise you to go through the program guide. And as I mentioned, there is also a contribution towards students with disabilities, with special needs, so this is to cover costs that are related to the acquisition of special items, special assistant, but this disability needs to be certified by a competent national authority. So there will also be additional funds available for students from regions of partner countries financed by the EU external funding instrument. And you may apply for these additional fundings. And here you can see which are the additional fundings, the neighborhood, so the neighborhood development and international cooperation instrument, we call it NDC. And there will be a detailed list of these countries published on the website. And they might receive up to 18 additional scholarships from the NDICI and up to 6 scholarships for EAP. But this is all to be confirmed, and as I said, this will be published in our website. Just a visualization of really how with this new program that there is indeed this increased budget, and yes, so institutions, and there is an increase on the total funding. So as for the design measures, the call will be published in the next days, and the deadline is also the same as for the design measures. So there is a budget of approximately 98 million euros and approximately 25 million for the targeted regions. We aim at selecting around 25 projects in 2021, and the number of scholarships, there is a maximum of 60 from the main budget, and 24 for additional scholarships. And the selection follows a little bit the same timing as the design measures. So we are aiming for autumn, October, for the publication of the results, and then to sign the grant agreements until the end of the year. And the selected projects would start in autumn. And which is the evaluation procedure? This has a peer review. So so each application is evaluated by 3 external experts in a one-step evaluation procedure. There are actually 2 thresholds. So for the proposal to be considered for funding, it needs to score 22 out of 30 points for relevance and at least 70 points overall. And again, here you have a summary of the award criteria. I will not go through them. This is really a summary, and in the program guide, you will find that they are more elaborated. And again, I would like to stress that it is important to address the award criteria, all these award criteria, each of the sub points of the award criteria when you prepare your proposal. So for both, we are coming to the end. So for both schemes, lots, you have to apply through the European Commission Funding and Tender Opportunity Portal. Here is the link, and it's not anymore through our website. And so now I would like to give the floor to my colleague Dagmar, and she can briefly tell you where you can find relevant information. Thank you very much for your participation, and I hope that that it was interesting and that will motivate you to participate.
Yeah, thank you very much, Monika. I just want to be very brief and not to take too much of your time. Just very shortly, some information on where you can find info about the program. So of course, you see there is the program guide. This is obviously the reference document for you, where you can find all the details about the lots, about the eligibility criteria, the funding mechanisms. You know that I mean you're familiar with it. So this is the reference document. You have the link here, but the link is as well in the portal. As my colleague Monika already mentioned, all the calls now, calls for proposals, but also tenders now go through are published through the Funding and Tender Opportunities portal. So it is not anymore. This is the big difference, because in the past, all these calls and information for applicants were published on our website, and this is not the case anymore. So if you want to, I mean, all publicly available information now about the call is on this funding and tenders opportunities portal. But still on our website, and this is something more interesting, as for you, the procedure is also new to apply through this portal with the new application package, the new forms, and how it works concretely. We have on our ERCR website still a section. In fact, when you enter the website, you will directly see it. It's a section for applicants on more general steps on how to submit a proposal. So there you can find a very nicely done PowerPoint presentation. You find again the link towards the funding and opportunities portal, but also the link to the there is a handbook on this portal, which explains step by step what applicants have to do to submit a proposal. So, and here just very briefly, there are we compiled some interesting resource documents for you. So just to tell you that the agency is not only managing the contracts, but we also try to organize surveys and also cluster meetings on topics of general interest, but also of political interest. This we have done concerning the European approach for quality assurance of joint programs. We have had 2 events and have published the outcomes of it. More recently, we have conducted a survey on the joint degrees in the Eramus Mundus Action, which I really recommend you to read. And now at the top, the statistical fact sheets, they are quite new, and they are published. They were published by DGAC on their website. And as Erasmus Plus has a very strong international dimension, here you can really find really the impact of Erasmus Plus program during the 2014-2020 funding periods on the mobility and cooperation between Europe and the other regions of the world. And then we have still, these 2 other documents mentioned: policy document, the EMJMD, the story so far, and also a best practice guide on sustainability of Erasmus Mundus master courses. This is just for you if you wish to if you wish to get more acquainted with certain aspects, and also I would like to mention that we are currently publishing specific fact sheets on Erasmus Mundus, and they will be placed as well on our website soon, and I would also invite you to read it if you have the occasion. Just as the last remark, here on this slide you see our functional mailbox. So if you have any questions concerning the call, also practical questions, you can address them by using this functional mailbox. So that's all on my side. I think that we can close here, and we open the floor, to your questions, and I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Monica and Dagmar, for your presentation and contribution to the first steps of Ukrainian and all Eastern Partnership countries' universities to apply for Erasmus Mundus joint master degrees and the design measures. Personally, I learned also a lot from your presentation, and it's very good exercise for learning for us, for new colleagues, as some of the actions are also new for us. Thanks a lot. And in fact, we have around 15 questions as for now, and I have grouped them a little bit like by topic of the question, and I will request then also our colleagues to jump in later if there is any question coming from from other countries. I mean, in their languages, if not in English, Ukrainian, or Russian, and then they will jump in with other questions, if any. So the first question is, when will the application form be uploaded via the portal? That's already some of the universities, we understand, are ready to submit, because there are a lot of questions about it.
Which is very good. So as I mentioned, it is any hour, let's put it like that. So we are working hard on it. There is indeed a certain delay because we are moving to another kind of application system. So it's a huge shift, but I'm expecting it to be published. Let's say beginning of next week, hopefully. So yes.
Thank you. And is there any intention to postpone a little bit the deadline of submission?
Well, we can understand the concerns and that indeed this is a short time frame to prepare an application, and but for the time being, the deadline is still the 26th of May. So, and what I would also like to add is that, I mean, for the design measures, the application, it's really a simple application. So I can understand that for joint masters, it's a much more considerable work and preparation, but for the design measures, it's a simpler application. You will see once the forms are out, there are no annexes. I mean, there is a part A and part B and part C, but indeed it's much more simple.
Thank you very much. And another question is the Erasmus Mundus design measures a preparation project to implement Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Degree Program?
Well, yeah, it can be seen like that, because with the design measures, indeed, we aim at supporting the development of new master programs, and encourage new cooperations or further developing cooperations already existing, involving other countries or institutions. So indeed, so it is an attractive opportunity for institutions that were not yet involved, for instance, in joint master degrees, and that they were wondering how to start. So it is we expect that more higher education institutions will feel ready to implement and participate, not only implement, but what I mean is not become the coordinators if they are not ready to, but to participate in joint master programs, which require a high degree of preliminary preparation. So indeed, this action can be a bridge towards the development of Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Program, and it supports institutions in this objective. But it is important to say that it is not mandatory, meaning that it's not because you have implemented a joint design measures, I mean, that you are obliged to submit an application to the joint masters. And it will also not give any kind of preferential treatment.
Very good comment, I think, very useful for the applicants. Thanks a lot.
I don't know if Dagmar would wish to compliment. Dagmar, you may introduce.
No, I think it was very well summarized. No need from my side, yeah.
Thank you. Another question is about is it possible that the same consortium to apply for Erasmus Mundus Joint Master and Erasmus Mundus Design Measures at the same time?
In theory, yes. there is no provision in the program that prevents beneficiaries to apply to both. And as I mentioned, the calls are independent. But if you see the objectives of the two schemes, of the two lots, they are completely different, and they target different consortia. So let's say consortia with a different level of experience and of achievements, and let's say that the projects one aims at. So the joint masters need to be fully ready to start, because it supports the immediate implementation of accredited joint programs, and the design measures supports the design of these integrated master programs. So completely different objectives, different experience of consortia. So it is possible, but yes. I don't, let's say, I don't see how the same consortia could apply to both.
Thank you very much. And then we have the question about the, should the Erasmus Mundus design project be fully completed or reported if the same consortium, the same application is interested to apply for Erasmus Mundus joint master degrees later?
Well, at the end of the action, so at the end of the design measure project, it needs to be fully set up, because as you have seen in the slides that I showed, the joint masters, to apply to a joint masters, the program, the academic program, the mechanisms, they should all be fully developed, because the program is expected to start immediately being implemented, and also at the level of accreditation. So with the Erasmus Mundus design measures, the program that is being developed is expected is encouraged to at least launch an accreditation evaluation process before the end of the project. But in the joint masters, this is one of the requirements. They should be fully developed and ready to run, and they are required to have at least the accreditation of the national components of the curriculum, so of the program. So yes, I would say that indeed, to apply to a joint masters, it needs to be fully developed and accredited, at least the national components. Dagmar, I don't know if you would like to add something.
No, I mean, maybe just to say that it is true that the accreditation process is a very lengthy process, and it can indeed take 1 to 2 years sometimes, which means even, you know, if a new consortium is created and a new joint master set up, it can be that after completing this EMDM project, that the newly constituted consortium will not be able yet to submit a proposal under the EMJM program because of this, because the accreditation is not yet ready. So it might be, you know, that indeed further preparation is still needed before this consortium will be able to submit really a proposal. That's maybe something. So yeah.
Thank you, indeed.
Thank you very much. And I think that in all previous comments, you have addressed a few questions already, which is in the list. The question is about the how many documents will be needed apart from the project description, like mandates signed by rectors, declaration award, budget list, so any other.
Okay, so well, it depends on for which of the lots. So for the design measures or for the joint masters. For the design measures, as I said, it is very simple. and it has part A. I really do not want to go into real detail because without visualizing all the templates, it's a bit difficult. But for the design measures, there are no annexes. So there is this part B where the beneficiary will describe which are the actions and the context that he plans to establish, and he needs to describe how this project responds to the different award criteria that are and to the different objectives. But indeed, there is nothing else. Basically, there is nothing else. There is just a part in this part B. There is this part where they need to detail to group all the activities they are planning on implementing in one work package. So just one. And say who is going to participate in these tasks in terms of organizations. For the joint masters, it is something different because there are annexes. There is, for instance, there are mandatory annexes, and then there are optional annexes. So indeed, there is a budget calculator, so a budget table. There is also information on the degrees and the accreditations. There is a declaration, also a proof of accreditation that needs to be joined, and then there are other optional annexes like a draft student agreement and so on. But indeed, for the design measures, there are no annexes, so it's much more simpler. For the joint masters, there are a bit more of templates of forms to be completed.
Thank you very much.
If I may be, oh, sorry.
Yes.
I just wanted to add maybe something that we are conscious of the fact that we have not provided yet any really practical hands-on information for applicants. And for the simple reason that these forms are not yet completely finalized, and they are not yet online. But as soon as they will be online, we are projecting to create two separate PowerPoint presentations for each lot with explanation on the work package. And this is something that we then will also publish, and we will make available to all the Erasmus Plus offices for further dissemination.
Thanks a lot. Very good point and helpful, really. And in terms of the other question, we have the one about the eligibility of some parts, like, for example, is it eligible for Erasmus Mundus design measures to purchase equipment, books, any other budget items?
For the design measures, well, the funding, I understand. I think I understand the question because you are, I mean, institutions are have been participating in capacity building. And capacity building, if I'm not mistaken, it's based on real costs, part of it at least. And indeed, there was this purchase of equipment. So I can understand where the question comes from. But the design measures, the funding of the design measures it takes the form of a single lump sum, as I said. So, and this lump sum is intended for activities that are necessary to the implementation of the action. So, meaning linked to setting up a joint program of establishing contacts. I would say it is not the objective of the funding is not to purchase equipment or books, but if we need to see in the perspective as long as the expense is deemed relevant for implementing the action and it's related to it, then yes, I would say yes. But I would like to say that it is indeed not the objective of the funding. The objective of this funding it's to support the activities that lead to setting up this joint program. And I think what is also important to keep in mind is that, if I'm not mistaken, under capacity building, you were reporting also on the costs actually incurred. And this is not the case with the lump sum. So, so you don't need to actually to report on each and every cost. But however, you should, if necessary, if requested, you should be able to provide adequate supporting documents to prove the proper implementation of the action. Be it, for instance, imagine the organization of meetings, so documents that prove that those meetings were organized. I hope this explained.
Yeah, absolutely. That should be well justified, actually, any budget item spent at the end. And just a question about the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master, design measures. What information about the master program is to be described and indicated in the application?
Well, when you prepare it, I would say that when preparing the proposal, the applicant needs to address all the award criteria and the sub-points of the award criteria. So it should really explain the rationale behind the application, the objectives, how they are in line with the main objectives of the design measures scheme. Which is the envisaged strategy to develop this integrated master program, how the planning of the activities will lead to the achievement of those objectives. So all of this information needs to be well described in the application. But we need to keep in mind that we are not expecting, when you apply to a design measure, we are not expecting that you have already the full master designed. So it is, since the aim is to initiate activities to set up that joint master, you need to explain how they will help achieve the final objectives. And indeed, the final objectives is to have this joint study program, that to have this joint mechanisms in place of student selection, of evaluation. So these common services, the joint promotion. So what you are planning will help you build this final result, which is the new joint master program. Dagmar, I don't know if you wish to give here.
No, it's fine.
It's fine.
Okay, thank you very much. Then the important question about the quality assurance for the study programs accreditation. Is there any specific for Erasmus Mundus Joint Master degrees and for Erasmus Mundus design measures?
In terms of the design measures, I mean, it is wished that before the end of the project, that it has launched the accreditation of the new master that has been developed. So. And it's also expected that this master program adheres to the standards of for quality assurance of joint programs. So yes, indeed, the design measures, it is really encouraged to at least launch this accreditation process. And as Dagmar was saying, because this can take quite a long time. So if this new consortia is planning to launch a joint master, it needs to start this procedure, and of course, if possible, explore the opportunities given by the European approach. For the joint master action, yes, it is really a requirement that at application stage, the joint master is
Thank you. Thank you very much. And just, I think that we will take one question from the list submitted already. Because we have in addition around 10 more questions, but if you don't mind, we will just provide you in writing these questions, and if you have the time then to be devoted to reply then in writing, and we will post it also on our websites for the participants.
Of course, and as Dagmar was also mentioning, we have this functional mailbox, and everyone, all the participants or the NEOs are more than welcome to send us any questions to this mailbox, and we will answer them as soon as possible.
Thanks a lot. Great. Then one last question. Please describe special measures for inclusiveness, and if there is any additional funding, what they can be used for.
As I mentioned during my presentation, indeed, there is this special concern, or this attention to individual needs, and so this, I mean, I really invite to read into detail the program guide, but so this funding, so this amount, they will be used to enroll students with disabilities. Yes, and it can be to cover costs that I said that are needed for this special needs. So, for instance, specific travel and transportation, or adaptation of the working environment, or assistance by third people. So yes, and the amount of the funding can range. I mean, there are different amounts, different categories, and they can range from 3,000 euros to a maximum of 60,000 euros. So, and at application stage, the applicant will request, and this is based on unit cost, so we'll request, and there is a maximum of 2 unit costs that correspond to the maximum unit cost available, and this amount will be used to allocate these unit costs to this special needs. So the students, when they enroll, they will need to declare which kind of services or items they will need. So Dagmar, I don't know if there is something to add.
No, I don't think so. The thing is that the definition of this category is not yet really completely clear. But I think that more information on this will also come in the future. But what is clear, it is for people who have physical disabilities and need additional support. What other categories this might include, we prefer to give you information on this at a later stage.
Okay, thank you very much. It gives us a few minutes also maybe to have one more question. We have like one very specific question from Georgia. I think that it would be better to respond it in writing, because there is a kind of some information in with the background, and I think that this is like specific case, maybe to be catch up later on a little bit by the team. But very small question about the aspects of evaluation of achieved results. Please describe briefly the main aspects of evaluation of achieved results of Erasmus Mundus Desired Measures project at the final report.
Well, we are not yet at the we don't have yet the final reporting fully, I mean, developed. But I would say that it will be based, of course, on what was proposed in the application, and also on the outputs. There are the expected outputs that are on the program guide. So as I mentioned, by the end of the project, it is expected that there is a new fully integrated curricula, that there are these joint mechanisms that have been established, like as for instance the joint student selection, common student services, common mechanisms for evaluation of students. So this is expected to have been prepared, or to be in place. And for instance, also that a partnership agreement and a draft partnership agreement and a draft student agreement it has been prepared, for instance. And then, of course, ideally that there is this accreditation that started to be launched. So yes, so these are the outputs that are the results that we expect to see at the end. But as I said, and this is important to realize, is that it is a completely new action. So the reporting, all of this is not yet fully developed. So Dagmar, you might want to, I don't know if you want to complement.
No.
Not too early, right?
Yeah.
Well in advance. Maybe just the last most important question, which I think worries everybody, that can join master programs have online component of curricula and being partially online due to the challenges which we are facing all globally?
Well, there is a mandatory mobility, as I explained. So there is this mandatory mobility requirements. So I mean, we have seen that the joint master degrees, so the previous action, there was no possibility of this remote mobility, and of course with this global pandemic, we had to switch and to due to the circumstances accept that that this virtual teaching is incorporated. So I would say that indeed the physical mobility is the one that is predominant in the joint masters, and there are these absolute requirements that need to be accomplished. Virtual mobility in specific cases, Dagmar.
Yes, it's exactly as you said. Beside the compulsory mobility of these two terms of each 30, as we call it, ECTS. This is really compulsory, and I think there is a more flexibility for some other parts. And yeah, this is new. And as Monica said, it's due to the experience with the pandemic mainly. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's, I think, gives us the opportunity to sum up as for this first part. And thanks a lot for your valuable contribution with the questions and also for the presentations and the information you provided today. I'm sure that the program guide provides the details, but of course, when you communicate it, it's even much more valuable and more comprehensive when there is certain explanation and elaboration of some details. And it was really very useful and practical, and for our teams as well. Just maybe at the end, we'll have some practicalities for the second part of our session, and then we will meet each other hopefully during the, how to say it, Winners' Day in Brussels with the teams who participated today in the streaming event from Eastern Partnership countries and other countries who join us today. Thanks a lot for your valuable contribution, and to all colleagues for also moderating the questions and answer sessions and collecting all the comments and providing comments in the Facebook.